What we want to talk about today is how we can remove the inner blocks that are keeping us from feeling happy. Like when some events are happening or someone is saying something to us or any kind of situations, we tend to label those and we give them some meanings. They can be good, they can be bad, all these kind of things. But what we mostly are not conscious about is that these labels, the meaning that we give to them, are creating feelings in us. And these feelings can lead to different thought patterns. And the trap that we tend to fall into is that when some event happens, someone is saying something to us or any kind of thing, we give it a bad label. We create a bad feeling in us. We're feeling shitty about it. Let's just say how it is. And this feeling then creates a thought pattern. It's like, oh my God, why did that happen to me? And I don't want to live my life this way. And then the thought patterns again trigger those feelings, and so we go in a downward spiral that really keeps us stuck to where we actually don't want to be. And it can become so hard for us to get out of there. And I can tell you, I've been there many times in my life, but I'm so grateful that I managed to learn how to get out of there. And today I want to share with you one of these things. But before we get into it, I want to share a little story with you to illustrate how this can play out. Because it's not just that we create feelings with the meaning that we give to those events, but they also can determine our entire life, the decisions that we take on in our lives and how our lives are going to play out. So I want to share a story with you about two brothers. They both grew up in the same environment, in the same house, and they had an abusive father. He was a drug addict, he was a criminal, and sometimes he would even beat up his family. And so they both grew up together, but they went different paths. Like later in life, one of them was actually super successful. He was a successful businessman. He had a family, he had children, everything was amazing. And the other one, he actually went the other path. He was a criminal, he was a drug addict, same as his dad. The interesting thing about it is that they asked both of them separately, why do you think your life played out that way? And interestingly, both of them gave the exact same answer. With this kind of father figure, how else could my life play out? So one of them gave the meaning that this is bad, this is horrible. And he was focusing on that path, and he ultimately went the same path. The other one made the decision that I don't want to be that way. I don't want to have a life like that. And so he chose a different path for that. So the reason why I'm sharing that with you is because the meaning that we give to certain events can really change our entire lives, changing our decisions that we are making. And the thing is that oftentimes when an event happens, we tend to create a story about that thing because we don't really understand it and our brain has to make something up. But our brain cannot differentiate between the actual reality and what we are vividly imagined in our heads. So if you create a story and you repeat it in your head over and over and over again, then you're believing it. You start to feeling it. These feelings trigger the same thoughts and you go along that spiral. But when you're not conscious about it, this can really trap you to where you are. And I can tell you that out of my own life, back in the days, like 10 years ago or something like that, I was diagnosed with an autoimmune disease. And back then, that was a big hit for me because they were telling me, my body's attacking me, there's nothing I can do about it, nothing they can do about it. They can only give me medications that reduce the pain or like suppress my immune system. But those medications obviously would have negative side effects as well. And so I gave the meaning to that thing that this is horrible, this is bad. Like, why does it happen to me? And then I started to lose the vision for my life, the purpose for my life. I was questioning my entire existence. Like, what should I do with that condition? I had pain every single day. I couldn't, like sometimes I couldn't even move, I couldn't even walk somewhere. And I was just in my 20s. I was like, what kind of life could I have with that? So I gave that thing this horrible meaning, triggered horrible feelings inside of me. Those feelings triggered horrible thoughts. And I tell you, I was in that loop for a long, long time. Later, years later, I learned to change the meaning that I'm giving to it. What I did was, I saw this as an opportunity. Because yes, it was limiting me immensely in one area. But it also gave me the drive to find an answer. Because I couldn't believe that there's nothing I can do. And to me it didn't make sense that my body would attack myself. Like, why would he do that? The body is triggered and made for survival, not to attack yourself. So I was trying to find answers. I got hungry and I developed an internal strength and drive to find an answer, to develop myself. And so just by changing that label and seeing it as an opportunity, a lot in my life shifted. Not just the feelings that I had about it, but also the actions that I took. And I can tell you the reason why I can speak about that thing so easily now is the meaning has shifted again. Because now I see the whole thing with my autoimmune disease as bliss. Because once I changed the meaning to an opportunity, I started to learn a lot of things that I've never heard before. And I tested them. I tested them with my own body, seeing what works, to really figure out stuff. And step by step, I increased my health. I had less pain, less struggles, and I was stepping more and more into freedom, if you will. And so I started to realize, like, there is a way. And I tell you, years later, I went a huge path, and I went from having no vision, no purpose, nothing in my life, to traveling the world, which was actually a dream that I completely gave up. Having a huge vision for my life, a deep purpose that is driving me every single day. And this is the most blissful thing I can just imagine, because I'm living a life that I didn't even see as possible before I had the autoimmune disease. When I was a child, my dream now is bigger than ever, and I'm feeling more fulfilled, more happy, and just everything in my life. And the reason why I'm sharing that with you is I just want to illustrate that changing the meaning, changing the actions, changing the way you feel, and removing that block that keeps you from being happy or keeping you from whatever you want can be the most blissful thing in your entire life. And I turned back then actually I gave it the label as a curse. I saw it as a curse. I'm cursed with that disease, to becoming the most blissful thing that I have in my life. So I just wanted to show you that, to illustrate how powerful that can be. Because as long as I was stuck in an old label of being cursed, I could never be happy. Because I used every kind of instant to keep me where I am and not allow myself even to be happy. Maybe for a moment, but it wasn't real happiness. And I don't want anyone to live his life this way. I know life can be different. Life can be more blissful, more deep, more rich. And this is why I'm doing that here. So, with all that being shared, I want to give you a challenge. I want you to change, to think about the little event, a little incident that you gave a bad label to. Something that makes you unhappy. Something small. And then ask yourself, what's good about it? And your mind is probably going to be like, nothing is good about it. This is fucking bullshit and it shouldn't have happened in the first place. But okay, what could be good about it? If you really want to find an answer for it, what could be good about that event? Or what good could come out of that in the future? Because when I was back then in my autoimmune disease, I didn't see a thing. I didn't see anything good of it. But something amazing grew out of it that I couldn't see back then. But I think if I would have been open to that, I would have found that answer earlier. And so I just want to think about it. And then change the meaning. Write it down and start living from that, feeling it. So I just want to repeat that for you. First step, choose a small thing, a small event to practice that you want to change. Something that you gave a label that makes you feel unhappy. Second, ask yourself, what's good about it? What could be good about it if I really want to find something? Or what good could come out of that in the future? And then write it down, change the meaning of it, change the story that you have associated to it, and live it. And then for the next 7 days, try several things. Another small thing. Maybe grow up into a little bit bigger ones. More, bigger ones are usually more challenging. Like the autoimmune disease ones, that's a big one. I probably would have needed some help with that back then. And if you face challenges with that, and it's too hard for you to do that, you can always reach out to me, and we find the time together, and I'm helping you with that. Because all I want for you is to be happy, to live a life full of happiness. We all deserve to have a beautiful, rich life with beautiful emotions. And this is the way to it. So I hope that you did your exercise from last week. And I also want to encourage you to continue doing it onwards, not just for those 7 days. If it really helps you, if you feel like this is something that I can include as a part of my life, continue doing that. The same is going to be with this exercise. Continue doing it for as long as you need it, for the rest of your life if you want. Be conscious about the meanings that you give to things. Get more aware of them. And then maybe in future, if an event pops up that you usually would say of like, you're going to be like, you know what? Maybe there's something good about that. Let me find it out. And just that thought alone can change entirely how you feel. Because instead of giving it a bad label, you're going to start seeing it out of curiosity. And out of curiosity usually comes something good. So that's it for today. I just want to repeat quickly for you again the steps. First, choose a small thing that makes you unhappy. Small label, small thing that you gave a meaning that makes you feel unhappy. Ask yourself, what's good about it? What could be good about it? And what good could come out of it in the future? And then write it down, change your meaning, change your story, and start living it. And also, if you're brave enough, share it in the comments down below, or any other kind of things that are related to that. Help each other, encourage each other, and let's grow together. So, do that. Be conscious about it for the next 7 days. And then next week, we're going to cover a new topic. I give you a new tool. And until then, I'm wishing you lots of love, light, and appreciation. And I see you next week.